Amid the raging seas, when the roaring waves seemed ready to swallow the sky, a legend was reborn. Not in the pages of history, but in a new soul, someone who suddenly transmigrated into the body of Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. From the moment he opened his eyes, the ocean stirred and the heavens trembled. A single punch from him could split the seas in half, and one step was enough to make the entire new world tremble before the power of a Yonko. But that power was not meant for domination. It existed to protect his family, to protect those who called him father. And this is the journey that rewrites the entire legend of Whitebeard. A man standing in the vastness of the great sea declared, "If you wish to lay a hand on my family, defeat me first." The Germa kingdom, employing advanced scientific and technological methods, fitted Ichiji and his companions with lightning, flame, and laser equipment. In this world, these three elemental forces are arguably the most destructive. The three princes of the Vinsmoke clan, Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, possessing advanced technology that allows them to walk on air and leap through the air, transformed into a powerful gust of wind, swiftly and recklessly charging towards Whitebeard. "Whitebeard, go die!" Ichiji has a higher chance of striking first. His right hand was enveloped in a flashing silver electric arc. This was a type of high-voltage equipment that could, upon approaching an enemy, instantly unleash a terrifying surge of electric current. In a flash, the voltage could reach billions of volts, incredibly terrifying, capable of piercing even the air. In his left hand, he held a concentrated laser beam, a dazzling, blinding yellow light. This terrifying laser weapon was far more powerful than the lasers previously used by the living humanoid weapons. After all, this was the prince of the Vinsmoke family, and his entire body was equipped with 20 pieces of advanced weaponry, far more sophisticated than anyone else's. Hiss, hiss, hiss. This person approached Whitebeard, both hands moving simultaneously in a graceful, elegant motion, tracing a trajectory that was incredibly bright and dazzling. "Whitebeard, let me fall!" Ichiji let out a long yell, his hands instantly pinning Whitebeard down. At this moment, he revealed a smile. He was beaming with pride. He is the strongest warrior of the Vinsmoke clan, the first prince, who has participated in countless campaigns, big and small, and has never suffered a defeat. Any enemy pinned down by his hands, whether a powerful Zoan Devil Fruit user or a terrifying giant, would only face one outcome: severe injury and death. Even the physical body of a giant, a powerful being of the human race with godlike and demon-like forms, Vinsmoke Ichiji, had once killed one. Therefore, he realized that the marks of his hands on Whitebeard's body represented victory. "Whitebeard, with the three of us working together, we've probably never failed." At the same time, the other two princes of the Vinsmoke clan, Niji and Yonji, also rushed forward, launching a furious attack. The three men, almost infinitely close, frantically used their strongest hands, wielding terrifying technological weapons, to strike Whitebeard's body. In the blink of an eye, the silver electric currents, released from the hands of the three men, surged wildly across Whitebeard's tough, muscular skin. At the same time, a yellow laser beam, similarly emanating from the palms of his hands, shot out, dazzlingly bright and incredibly terrifying, rapidly striking Whitebeard's golden muscles and skin at close range. Boom, boom, boom. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji opened their mouths, and flames spewed out. A crimson flame instantly erupted from the three figures, slanting and falling upon Whitebeard's incredibly robust, mountain-like physique. The silver electric arc, that's a terrifying high-voltage current. That yellow beam of light hits the devastating power of a laser. The fiery red color, that's the result of advanced scientific and technologically advanced high-temperature flames capable of burning through steel, a terrifyingly high-temperature flame. Right now, a terrifying tricolored light erupted from in front of Whitebeard. Electrical arcs swirled, flames shot up, and lasers bloomed. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but gasp in shock. What kind of terrifyingly advanced scientific and technological trick is this? Lightning, laser, flames. At this moment, even the powerful pirates possessing the calm belt, and those lurking in the shadows were terrified by this horrific three-colored light. The Vinsmoke family is indeed not to be underestimated. It's as if three people simultaneously possess three different Logia-type devil fruit abilities. That's terrible. Indeed, the Vinsmoke clan, once the dominant power in the North Sea, produced a continuous stream of powerful individuals. The seas were teeming with pirates, like carp crossing a river. They were certainly not weaklings. This terrifying tri-element attack is something no one can withstand. The three princes are indeed powerful. They haven't let the kingdom down. At this moment, the ministers of the Germa kingdom, seeing their prince's image flashing brightly and dazzlingly on Whitebeard's body, burst forth with an incredibly beautiful and radiant light. Each and every one of them couldn't help but become excited and agitated. In the kingdom of Germa, there are no weaklings. Excellent, excellent, excellent. The princes are indeed extraordinary. They possess formidable strength. Excellent. Whitebeard is definitely dead this time. The three princes joining forces is practically invincible. The entire Vinsmoke family is cheering enthusiastically. All of these things, though described at great length, actually happened in an extremely short period of time. At Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji holding the equipment engraved on Whitebeard's body, lasers, lightning, and flames erupted in an instant. Whitebeard remained calm and composed as ever, showing not the slightest sign of panic or distress. He was like an emperor controlling heaven and earth. The three people before him were merely clowns dancing a mocking dance. This level of power, for you to encounter it is truly an insult to me. Whitebeard's voice instantly echoed throughout the entire sea. At this moment, countless people were terrified. Whitebeard spoke, seemingly without the slightest sign of injury. What exactly is the situation? Countless people were terrified, each one wide-eyed and open-mouthed. They simply couldn't imagine how Whitebeard could remain so unharmed and calm amidst the terrifying lasers, lightning, and flames. Impossible. No matter how powerful they are, they can't stop the three princes of our Germa kingdom from joining forces. Besides, all three princes have clearly succeeded. The entire Germa kingdom was gripped by immense fear, and at the same time, they couldn't believe that Whitebeard could have escaped unharmed. This is just Whitebeard deliberately pretending that there's no problem with his words. The Vinsmoke clan members all believed that Whitebeard was just boasting. In reality, Whitebeard, enveloped in lightning, flames, and lasers, was already severely injured. At this point, even the people of the country, including Xiao Ya, couldn't help but break into smiles. They felt it. Those three princes are doing well. Whitebeard, it's just that his bow has run out of momentum. Maybe, throughout the entire kingdom of Germa, people simultaneously broke into smiles. In the midst of the battle, Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji, in an instant, felt their scalps tingle, a chill run down their spines, and their hearts race. Their previously smug smiles froze on their faces in a flash. The man's three eyes, in an instant, widened to be even larger than brass bells, filled with disbelief and utter shock. The terrified expression instantly masked all the emotions on their faces. In that instant, the three of them were like frightened birds. I was so scared my scalp went numb. What exactly is going on? Clearly, all three of us used our strongest techniques to imprint on Whitebeard. With just one sentence, Whitebeard terrified the three men, turning pale and breaking out in cold sweat. Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji couldn't believe it. This was real. Maybe all of these things are real. Whitebeard basically didn't lift a finger. This immediately terrified them, sending chills down their spines and causing them to break out in cold sweat. No. The three of them frantically tried to suppress the terrifying, violent feelings surging within their minds. Maybe it can't be suppressed. Trembling in the blink of an eye, Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji, the three human bodies, trembled uncontrollably. They involuntarily and frantically looked up, gazing upwards. They saw a pair of eyes that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Whitebeard's eyes. In that instant, Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji felt as if the sky was about to fall. It was as if, with a single glance from Whitebeard, the heavens and earth crumbled, and everything before him seemed as fragile as paper, unable to withstand a single blow. Run, 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 run! At this moment, Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji were left with only one thought. They were all terrified by Whitebeard's words, their faces turning pale. Upon receiving a glare from Whitebeard, they instantly felt their scalps tingle, abandoning all other thoughts and simply wanting to flee. Laser technology is booming. Lightning strikes are incredibly fast. Burned to ashes by flames, it had no effect. All these things invincible attacks, capable of killing any enemy, from seemingly invincible technological equipment to sophisticated scientific techniques were like worthless steel in the face of Whitebeard. Is this laser even more powerful than Kizaru's flashlight fruit ability? No. Kizaru's flash fruit ability was no match for Whitebeard. He was annihilated by Whitebeard with a single blow. Their lightning, with a voltage of over 100 million volts, could it possibly compare to Enel's lightning fruit ability? No. Even with Enel's lightning fruit ability, which unleashed a terrifying 500 million volts of electricity, he was still sent flying by Whitebeards to punches. Could their flames compare to Akanu's boiling lava? Akanu's meteor shower attack unleashed a sea of fire, causing countless streams of lava to fall, threatening to collapse the very ground. Perhaps Akanu will be hung up and beaten by Whitebeard again, his fists smashed to pieces. The Vinsmoke family's tactics are fundamentally incomparable. Your point of attack, to me, is like an ant bites an elephant. Tickling. Whitebeard's voice, as if descending from the heavens, echoed with a deafening roar, shaking the entire sea and causing the sky to churn. In an instant, the clouds were swept back. Everyone was utterly astonished. Follow me. Just as Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji were about to flee, they basically didn't have time to put up any resistance. Whitebeard instantly unleashed 3 punches. These 3 punches shattered the atmosphere. Clearly, the rebellious King Zhou instantly threw out 3 punches. As the 3 punches were thrown, the air shattered, seemingly piercing through it, creating 3 black holes that directly blasted Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji. A divine and demonic body. What a shockwave! In the blink of an eye, it feels like eternity. Only Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji, the 3 of them who were directly involved, could truly feel that utterly desperate and terrifying sense of fear. No, no, no. Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji screamed in agony. The heart-wrenching scream instantly shook the heavens and the earth. We think we'll die. In the blink of an eye, the wind and clouds reversed. Countless fragments of air were shattered, creating 3 terrifying storms. Whitebeard unleashed 3 punches in an instant. The situation is constantly changing. The heavens and earth trembled. Everything is frozen over. In the blink of an eye, 3 terrifying storms formed, almost instantly sweeping Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji backward. Pop, pop, pop! The punch created a terrifying, identical black hole, instantly piercing through the bodies of Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji, their blood instantly transforming into countless streams of blood raining down. We don't want to die. We don't want to die. Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji's 3 agonizing screams were heart-wrenching and piercing, their sharp, desperate cries tearing through the air and resonating in everyone's hearts. Right now, everyone was shocked by this. Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji, these 3 clearly remain completely devoid of human emotions and desires. No human being has any sympathy. Clearly, he was a completely modified soldier from birth. Why? Right now. Will they experience fear and psychological distress? Because Whitebeard's 710 punches were so terrifying that they ignited the deepest desire for survival within them. For the first time, they truly felt what death was, what despair was. and what the terrifying shadow of death felt like. Even if they are artificial humans, facing Whitebeard's terrifying attack, even he was spurred into a desperate thought of survival. This is enough to prove just how terrifying Whitebeard's 3 techniques truly are. Maybe it's all too late. From Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji's momentary attack on Whitebeard, it was all too late. Everything was irreversible. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji instantly carved marks on Whitebeard's body. It was predetermined. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, those 3 must die. Ahar! 3 mournful, ear-piercing screams echoed across the land, reaching everyone's ears and sending shivers down countless people's spines. Kia is absolutely amazing, Bick. Look at that pathetic scream. It caused countless people to feel a sharp pain in their eardrums and a chill run down their spines. That kind of terrifying feeling moved everyone deeply. The sheer terror of this shockwave force is something that only Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji truly understand at this moment. Whitebeard was incredibly powerful, possessing unparalleled physical strength and a godlike, demonic physique with terrifying power. Moreover, the strongest vibrational force is the shockwave force. Even the air was instantly shattered into black holes. What kind of show of force is this? What kind of infuriating power does this give to desperate people? The tank is completely shattered. Things changed in the blink of an eye. The sea transforms the land into fields. This is Whitebeard's power. In an instant, he shook the world. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, the 3 most powerful technologically advanced warriors, were instantly shattered into pieces. Their bodies were violently shaken by the terrifying shockwave, their flesh and blood splattered, their bones blown to shards, and their advanced high-tech equipment instantly reduced to dust. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, their bodies instantly shattered into pieces. The 3 men were like soft clay statues being crushed, sent flying backward, their bodies shattered beyond repair, their bones shattered and scattered, their flesh and blood completely blown away. Utterly dead. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, 3 incomplete corpses, their bodies as soft as mud, transformed into long, blood-red trajectories in midair, crashing with a resounding bang onto the 3 flagpoles of the Germa Kingdom. Pop, pop, pop! The 3 flying Germa Kingdom flags were instantly dyed red. Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, their 3 bodies, were limp and identical, hanging upside down there. TSK. Right now. Everyone in the comm belt watched the battle and couldn't help but gasp in shock. Absolutely terrifying. Seeing such a terrifying and shocking tactic that shook the very depths of their hearts and souls, countless people trembled, their bodies shaking with fear. Whitebeard. Those 3 words caused countless people to tremble, their souls shaking, a fear stemming from the deepest recesses of their hearts. It's noisy. This one scene, through the photos taken with mobile phones and transmitted to the entire world, every island was instantly thrown into complete commotion. That's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The whole world was terrified because of it. Facing Whitebeard's lightning-fast tactics, his sudden and unexpected changes, the way the seas turned into fields, one felt fear, panic, and utter bewilderment. This whole world is in turmoil. 3 punches, shattering the air, a black hole appears in an instant. 3 blows, instantly killing the 3 strongest warriors of the Germa Kingdom. The Germa Kingdom has 3 flags flying high. Hanging upside down are their 3 strongest modified warriors, Prince Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji. The whole world is gripped by terror. On the Sabaudi archipelago, everyone was trembling. In the East Sea, people are like birds frightened by a slingshot. In the New World, countless people turned pale. And in an instant, everyone in the entire kingdom of Germa fell silent and eerie silence, a terrifying silence, like the silence of death. All of these things happened so quickly, like acetylene in a flash of light. That was lightning fast. There wasn't time to cover your ears. That's a kind of speed. The people of the Germa Kingdom, who were originally supported by the 3 princes, now wore forced, strained smiles. Follow me. It transformed into a profound sense of fear, a fear that surged from the depths of their souls, causing the entire Germa kingdom to tremble in an instant. Laugh, feeling smug and self-satisfied. Right now, looking across the entire kingdom of Germa, who could still be laughing? Are you pleased with yourself? At this moment, every single person in the Germa kingdom fearfully raised their heads, staring in utter terror at the sky above. On the 3 flagpoles of the Germa kingdom, 3 princes' corpses hung upside down like piles of mud, their blood mixed with shredded flesh, rolling down from the flagpole. At this moment, who could possibly have the thought of leaving? The Germa kingdom's man, who had been laughing, instantly froze, his expression turning to one of profound fear that emanated from the depths of his soul. Trembling. Wherever Non-Kayat and Amavibung were present, the people of the country couldn't help but tremble with fear. This is a fear that penetrates the very soul. Only then can one feel it. Impossible. The ministers of the Germa kingdom could not believe their own eyes. They couldn't believe it. They were seeing it all for real. They couldn't believe it. The 3 invincible princes, even with their combined strength, were still crushed by Whitebeard's hammer alone. Just 3 rights, directly unleashing a brutal mace, hanging upside down on the flagpole. Utterly tragic. Utterly tragic. No, this isn't real. A high-ranking official was almost driven mad, his whole being seemed to go insane. He wasn't grieving over the deaths of the 3 princes, but rather, he was terrified, horrified, and utterly terrified for his own life. I never imagined that offending Whitebeard would be such a terrible thing. Even with your eyes closed, you can still imagine it. My fate, will I or will I not end up like the 3 princes, being punched into a pulp by Whitebeard and hung upside down on a flagpole? Crisis consumed his heart. Go to hell. Whoosh! Beside him, in the kingdom of Germa, Vinsmoke Judge coldly struck, and in an instant, a laser sword appeared, instantly beheading this nearly deranged man. What a huge skull that flipped over and flew out. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. Quiet, like dying peacefully. The original panic and confusion of the Germa kingdom's ministers were instantly brought back to their senses, forced to regain their composure. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The heavy breathing revealed just how much crisis the entire Germa kingdom was in at this moment. Whoosh! Vinsmoke Judge struck again, beheading a trembling minister on the spot. Gurgle, gurgle. The head, covered in fresh blood, fell to the ground. At this moment, the ministers of the Germa kingdom, who had been in a state of turmoil, suddenly fell silent and regained their composure. As expected of a kingdom with a king, Vinsmoke Judge's methods, though cruel and ruthless, were able to stabilize the entire kingdom's crisis-ridden state in an incredibly short time, even under such dire circumstances. A very decisive ruler. Whoosh! Vinsmoke Judge took a deep breath. Instead of going to check on his sons hanging upside down on the flagpole, he turned to look at Whitebeard, his expression unusually serious. Apparent. At this moment, Vinsmoke Judge's heart was also in turmoil, like a raging sea, shaking uncontrollably. Even Marco, the powerful and invincible squad leader, couldn't help but be shaken, emitting a vibration from deep within the soul. My father's tactics are too extreme, aren't they? Even someone as tough as George couldn't help but be shocked by Whitebeard's exaggerated and ruthless tactics. Fresh Flower Bridge. This is incredibly powerful. Shiki, the Golden Lion, who was once on equal footing with Roger as a great pirate, was now involuntarily stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief as he let out a foolish sigh. Hiss! Even the legendary pirate, Cao Chi Hong, known for his bloodthirsty ferocity as the Blood Count, couldn't help but gasp in shock at this moment, sighing from the depths of his heart. What ruthless methods! Utterly tyrannical. MC Quathuk, the fake D&D world, was completely stunned. His mouth twitched, and he exclaimed in amazement, impressive. You almost gave me a heart attack. Edward Newgate, this is the real Whitebeard. Crocodile, with a long, thin cigar in his mouth, had finally subdued a living, humanoid weapon and forced it to retreat. Looking up, he saw the image of the Germa Kingdom's flag hanging upside down, depicting the three corpses of the princes. He couldn't help but sigh. Father's methods are terrifying, unwavering and ruthless as ever. Yet Crocodile would utter such words of admiration. That's enough to prove how agitated she is feeling right now. Moonlight. Moria, this idiot, was so frightened his face turned green, the large scissors in his hand shaking uncontrollably. You scared me to death. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Whitebeard didn't use such cruel methods on me back then. Just thinking about how he had initially foolishly challenged Whitebeard to a one-on-one fight, Gecko Moria broke out in a cold sweat. Thankfully, Whitebeard wasn't that brutal initially. 0. I was initially afraid that things would end up like those rotten peat pieces hanging on that flag, a pathetic sight. Father, it's really powerful. Anyone who knew the Whitebeard pirates couldn't help but feel a tremor of emotion at the thought. The originally tranquil calm belt was now churning with violent storms, the sea roaring incessantly, waves surging and crashing, creating a terrifying spectacle. Even the enormous sea king-type creatures were so frightened that they dared not surface, retreating only into the depths of the ocean. This kind of battle is terrifying. It unleashes a storm powerful enough to wipe out an entire island. When Whitebeard made his move, he instantly terrified the entire world. His 3 incredibly powerful punches, like shattering ice, directly reduced the 3 princes of the Germa Kingdom to a pulp, hanging their national flags upside down. An unparalleled and domineering fighting style that shook the entire world. For a moment, everyone's expressions changed. 493, countless people admired Whitebeard's ruthless tactics. Ichiji, Niji, and Yanji, the 3 most outstanding reformers of the Germa Kingdom, had fought countless battles across the seas without a single defeat, yet in a single exchange with Whitebeard, they were all instantly reduced to a pulp. Even the 3 demons probably never imagined that their proactive attempt to assassinate Whitebeard would result in such a terrifying outcome. Kill! The horrific battle continued in the same spot, and at this moment, a prisoner from the 6th level of Impel Down, who happened to be not far from Whitebeard, joined the fight because he was using money to settle scores with others. The prisoner, wielding an enormous cleaver, approached Whitebeard and unleashed a single strike. Painting. The terrifying sound of the wind-breaking blast was like a knife cutting through steel. This is a terrifying slash. Ultra short range. Whitebeard, you're dead. The dying prisoner's heart was practically ecstatic. Just by killing Whitebeard, he could seize 10 billion berries and enjoy all the glory and wealth. His wild fantasies were, my sword can cut through even a steel plate over 10 meters thick. Whitebeard, no matter how strong your body is, at such close range, you can't escape this slash. Without exception whatsoever. This enormous executioner's blade slashed at Whitebeard's chest. What? In that instant, the prisoner from the 6th level of Impel Down, his expression drastically changed, a tsunami of shock surging through his heart. Impossible. This is a trick. Why, even though I clearly struck him, he doesn't have a single wound, while my hand is cracked. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. All that could be seen was the dead prisoner gripping the executioner's sword, his hand covered in a dense network of fine, intricate gases, with fresh blood trickling down the hilt. But when the sword struck Whitebeard's chest, a gaping hole appeared. Looking back at Whitebeard himself, he's perfectly fine. Little devil, with your meager abilities, you can't even hurt me. Whitebeard bowed his head, observing the dead prisoner below, his voice like that of a god or demon, reverberating with a thunderous roar. Collapse. This person was so frightened that the knife in their hand fell to the ground. He was trembling all over. No, no, no. I was just joking. I was just joking. This prisoner was terrified. He never imagined he could cut through more than 10 meters of steel, and yet he couldn't even cut through Whitebeard's flesh. That sounds terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. As Whitebeard's gaze swept over him, the man instantly felt his scalp tingle and a chill run down his spine. That terrifying feeling of being enveloped by the shadow of death made him feel as if the world was about to collapse. A horrific catastrophe, an unstoppable terror, was imminent. No, 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 no. Run, 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 run. This dying prisoner had only one thought: to escape, to flee frantically, to retreat desperately. Maybe. How could his speed possibly be faster than Whitebeard's attack speed? All that was seen was Whitebeard casually throwing out a punch through the air. In the blink of an eye, the wind and clouds reversed, the air shattered like glass, and a terrifying spatial fragment storm formed, appearing in an instant, like a long line, sweeping up the prisoners who were frantically trying to escape. Whoosh! Fresh blood splattered in an instant. This powerful prisoner from the 6th level of Impel Down, who had died a violent explosion, had his bones shattered into countless fragments and his flesh and blood reduced to dust. In the blink of an eye, all that remained was a cloud of blood mist. Don't even think about leaving once you've arrived. Whitebeard didn't even glance at this, as if he were crushing a grasshopper, completely unconcerned, so nonchalant. Maybe. What seemed like a calm and peaceful atmosphere, in the eyes of others, was like a raging storm and towering waves, frightening everyone so much that their faces turned pale. Overbearing, infinite techniques. They showed no mercy and used ruthless methods against their enemies. With a single strike, the enemy was blown to pieces. Their remains no longer a gruesome sight. It caused countless people to tremble. You all surround and kill Whitebeard. At this moment, Vinsmoke Judge let out a long roar, ordering all the living humanoid weapons he possessed to surround and kill Whitebeard. At the same time, the deceased prisoners were seated, Germa Kingdom warriors were sent, and soldiers borrowed from the world government were all sent to surround and kill the remaining members of the Whitebeard pirates. To possibly defeat Whitebeard, I fear there are only about 20 living humanoid weapons. It's good enough if you stay here in Beihai. If you come looking for trouble with me, you'd better be prepared to be annihilated. Whitebeard's voice, like a thunderclap, instantly shook countless waves. HMPH. Vinsmoke Judge laughed coldly in anger. His heart had long since gone mad, and at this point, there was no turning back. Otherwise, he wouldn't have killed his subordinates to quell the rebellion. The 3 most important sons of Whitebeard were now beaten into a pulp, their bodies reduced to a bloody mess with the national flag hanging upside down. Even though Vinsmoke Judge was completely emotionless, he still felt an overwhelming sense of humiliation. Moreover, he had poured countless hours and effort into raising his 3 sons' sharp weapons of war, only to have them instantly defeated by Whitebeard. This kind of heartbreak felt like having his flesh torn apart. Ba ba ba. 19 humanoid weapon-wielding beings, almost simultaneously and without hesitation, charged towards Whitebeard. Go and slaughter all those little guys. Whitebeard waved his hand to stop them, ordering Marco and the other squad leaders, who were preparing to engage in battle, to head to the other side. Marco and the others were stunned and couldn't help but say worriedly, "Father, you alone." Even the weakest weapon among the humanoid creatures can still fight the Golden Lion Shiki to a draw. Even in the end, Shiki the Golden Lion nearly lost his head to the humanoid weapon in its hand. Powerful living beings in humanoid weaponry, and even possessing abilities like the Line Fruit, the Mighty Elephant Fruit, and the Great Buddha Form Fruit, a few of these powerful beings. Once the peak powerhouses of the New World's Great Ocean. 19 humanoid weapon-wielding beings, plus laser weapons, plus devil fruit abilities, plus the ultimate marine 6 styles, are fearless of pain and fearless of death. This is an extremely terrifying force. No matter who it was, they wouldn't dare face it alone, would they? One person is enough for me. Whitebeard laughed heartily, his aura suddenly soaring, his whole being radiating an incredibly terrifying presence like a god or demon. To counter those weak little beings, I alone am enough. Marco and the others shuddered in unison. Although they were very worried about their father, They had always obeyed his orders without hesitation. A group of squad leaders, with Marco at the forefront, immediately charged towards the other side like a raging flood, recklessly storming into the Germa Kingdom's army. Meanwhile, Whitebeard, alone and wielding a sword over 10 meters long, charged forward with the domineering attitude of 19 humanoid weapon-wielding creatures, ready to face them head-on. Seeing Whitebeard single-handedly and incredibly powerfully confront 19 humanoid weapon-wielding creatures, countless pirates were shaken. This Whitebeard, a single man wanting to fight so many terrifying living humanoid weapons alone. You should know, these humanoid weapons, even the Golden Lion Shiki could probably gather them all. And those other guys have powerful devil fruit abilities, humanoid weapons. They're definitely heaven-defying beings. Whitebeard, can he fight them all alone? Countless people were amazed. Countless others broke out in cold sweat, believing that Whitebeard, fighting alone against a dozen or so humanoid weapon-like creatures, was absolutely certain of victory, because they had never seen Whitebeard defeated before. If that's the case, Whitebeard could really win. So it's truly necessary to continue yielding to a turbulent world. Whitebeard has been reborn and has never been defeated. This time, he must have immense confidence that he can kill and capture the humanoid weapon. Some people admire them for that. They admired Whitebeard's immense strength and his calm and confident demeanor in the face of countless enemies. This is the true, regal aura of Whitebeard. Someone shouted like that. Even from afar in the calm belt on the surface of the sea, one could sense the powerful, regal aura emanating from Whitebeard. This is the real king. Fear nothing, no matter how numerous the enemies. As usual, stay calm. Whitebeard, Whitebeard. Vinsmoke Judge, his eyes cold, surveyed the battlefield. Seeing Whitebeard confidently battling numerous humanoid weapons alone, he couldn't help but be astonished. He sent all the impaled-down prisoners to confront Whitebeard. According to Vinsmoke, Judge relayed the order. Just for a moment, a series of terrifying, ferocious figures, radiating immense power, simultaneously attacked Whitebeard. And there were also over 430 people. These people, who were previously in prison, could all have come from this vast ocean and become legendary pirates, belonging to a different era, the silver medal player. Boom, boom, boom. Each figure, carrying an incredibly terrifying and pungent smell of blood, charged towards Whitebeard to kill him. At this moment, the already unparalleled shock that had shaken the world erupted once again, absolutely boiling over. Why would those dead prisoners follow Vinsmoke Judge's arrangements? What kind of agreement did they have? Only God knows. All I know is that, right now, Whitebeard not only has to face those terrifying humanoid weapons, he also has to face over a dozen extremely dangerous prisoners. How terrifying Vinsmoke Judge's arrangement. How cruel. At this moment, everyone was once again amazed. Countless people began to worry, could Whitebeard really single-handedly fight off all those who were trying to kill him this time? Those pirates who originally admired Whitebeard's regal and dignified demeanor, and who had previously assumed that Whitebeard only fought the humanoid weapon pirates alone because he was confident, were now left wide-eyed in astonishment. They also wouldn't have thought that Whitebeard could single-handedly fight so many powerful opponents. A person. Ultimately, our fighting power is limited. Even if Whitebeard were stronger, he would still be dragged to his death by countless powerful individuals. Seeing each of the prisoners, radiating overwhelming killing intent, charging towards Whitebeard, Marco, who was already engaged in battle with the Germa Kingdom's army, was utterly astonished. Father! Marco let out a loud yell. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was engulfed in terrifying, sky-blue flames. His hands instantly transformed into wings of blue flames. He immediately wanted to rush forward and kill them, to lend Whitebeard a hand. Ha ha ha, do you think this little bit of strength is enough to defeat me? Whitebeard feared nothing. Wielding his sword, he suddenly unleashed a barrage of slashes, a fiery red flame rising like a raging dragon, striking relentlessly. The sound of Whitebeard's subsequent attacks echoed throughout the room. That old man! It's Whitebeard! Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying blazing flame slash struck directly at that living, humanoid weapon. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The fiery red color, the high temperature causing the air to boil, the destructive power is extremely immense. Without exception, more than a dozen humanoid weapon-wielding creatures were directly slashed and killed by the blazing flame slash. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, an incredibly deafening clash of metal echoed across the land. The blazing flame slash struck, and those dozen or so humanoid weapon-like creatures were all unharmed, each with a charred, blackened scratch in front of them. Again, Whitebeard's defense is incredibly powerful with that slashing attack. Seeing that scene, countless pirates were terrified. This isn't the defensive power incredibly formidable. Unbelievable, unbelievable. It's worth knowing that Whitebeard's slash could have nearly sunk an entire island, and even Hawkeye Mihawk was terrified by it. Maybe such a terrifying destructive slash? Again, no weapon can harm living humanoid creatures. This scene left countless people in awe of the incredible defensive power of these advanced humanoid weapons created by Vegapunk. That's too exaggerated. He can even withstand Whitebeard's slashing attack. This is incredibly powerful. Even if a dozen or so humanoid weapon-like creatures were to jointly withstand Whitebeard's slashes, they would at least suffer some kind of damage. Those who had witnessed Whitebeard's pirate battle against Kaido were especially terrified to the extreme. They were probably perfectly aware of just how powerful Whitebeard's slash was, even. Kaido, the king of beasts, the so-called immortal Kaido, could not escape unharmed by Whitebeard's slashing attack. As expected, Shiki, the Lion King, felt a tingling sensation on his scalp. He had initially observed that these humanoid weapons only had a weak point in their backs. The rest of their bodies were harder than steel. Even if Shiki the Golden Lion unleashed his full power in a single blow, he couldn't break through the defensive layers of the humanoid weapon now. Seeing these humanoid weapons directly resisting and blocking Whitebeard's slashing attacks, Shiki the Golden Lion became even more convinced that these humanoid weapons, except for a few special reasons that made them slightly weaker, possessed incredibly formidable defensive capabilities in all other areas. Seeing this, Vinsmoke Judge broke into a smile. Ultimately, is revenge even possible? Whitebeard, you couldn't even break through the defensive layer of the humanoid weapon. Let's see how you're going to defeat them. Vinsmoke Judge merely chuckled, but that smile was filled with resentment and malice. Vinsmoke Judge chuckled softly, yet it drew the attention of countless people. When governments around the world take action, none of the methods are simple. Especially since the world government brought out weapons to confront Whitebeard, they certainly couldn't be ordinary weapons. On this point, anyone who has witnessed the Pirate War understands it perfectly. The world government, having witnessed this once-in-a-lifetime event, will likely not easily let this opportunity to assassinate Whitebeard pass. Vinsmoke Judge looked towards the battlefield, his gaze falling on Whitebeard's crescent-shaped face, and said with a laugh, "Whitebeard, this battle, it's destined for you to die here, right?" Whitebeard, with a single punch, sent a surprise attack from a humanoid weapon flying, the air cracking and resounding. It's merely the good King Zhao using Sea Prism Stone to craft inner armor to block my slashing attack. And you're truly arrogant and conceited, thinking that with these things you can defeat me. Vinsmoke Judge laughed. "Whitebeard, let's fight them first and then talk." Who, the creature, sent flying by a single punch from Whitebeard, a living humanoid weapon, returned to the battlefield once again. Only bearing a fist mark, the rest of its body was unharmed. Their defensive power is incredibly terrifying. Whitebeard remained calm as ever, throwing out a few punches, easily forcing all the enemies to retreat. Kula la la la. Vinsmoke Judge, those who spoke to me like that before, are all repenting in hell. Boom, boom, boom. The words were spoken slowly, but the events unfolded rapidly. The moment Whitebeard finished speaking, a dozen or so deceased prisoners who had followed him rushed to Whitebeard's side. The terrifying attacks, like a torrential downpour, relentlessly bombarded Whitebeard, shattering void domain. The imposing figure of Whitebeard suddenly trembled. In an instant, the air all around his body vibrated simultaneously, crackling and shattering like glass. The shattered void within is filled with dense, tangled fragments of air, wreaking havoc within this spatial domain. All of these things, though described at great length, actually happened within an extremely short period of time. A dozen or so dead prisoners, carrying terrifying destructive power, charged forward desperately. Their simultaneous attacks landed on Whitebeard's body in an instant, and the void-shattering domain had already formed pop, 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 almost simultaneously. All the deceased prisoners were enveloped by the shattering void domain in an instant. Their bodies seemed to be severed by a dense network of thin threads. Each deceased prisoner's body was simultaneously covered with numerous long, thin bloodstains, fresh blood. Like a torrential downpour, rapidly shot out at 530. A heart-wrenching scream echoed through the shattered void realm. Perhaps these sounds are completely inaudible to anyone outside. The space was shattered by the vibrations of Whitebeard's awakened shockwave force, except for Whitebeard himself. No one else's energy, matter, or anything else could pass through it. Outside, all that could be seen was that awe-inspiring image. Each of them, carrying the brutal and tyrannical aura of a dead prisoner, was instantly enveloped by Whitebeard's domain the moment they approached him. Follow me. The body of the deceased prisoner exploded into countless long, thin gases. Countless streams of fresh blood, like spiderwebs, shot out in a burst. This scene sent shivers down people's spines. Surrendering to pirates was terrifying. My God, this Whitebeard's domain is too powerful. Utterly terrifying. Especially in the calm belt, those delusional pirates who thought they could fix the leaky roof of Whitebeard's house were terrified, their faces turning pale and chills running down their spines. Upon witnessing such a scene up close, they seemed to see a godlike figure, shattering every enemy who attacked him with his bare hands. Those incredibly powerful enemies, those legendary pirates who once reigned supreme on the vast ocean, had absolutely no chance to resist. Their bodies exploded into countless long, thin streams of blood. The situation was incredibly bizarre, terrifyingly good. The shock wasn't limited to the calm belt pirates. Everyone watching the live broadcast was utterly terrified. Captain, this enemy seems too powerful. Enel, the rescue spacecraft motto, on board, each wearing a miniature helmet, each with tiny eyes filled with unparalleled shock, spoke in astonishment. If I hadn't activated the incantation beforehand, exhausting all my divine power, that guy would have been sent flying by me long ago. Edel, holding an apple in one hand, was originally about to bite into it in a fit of rage. However, after witnessing Whitebeard instantly shatter the image of his powerful enemies, Edel couldn't help but ferociously bite into the apple, clenching his teeth and forcefully swallowing it, as if biting the apple could vent his anger. Vice Captain, those people wanted us to join forces to deal with this enemy. Why did you refuse them? And why did you electrocute them to death? The small, curious robot captain asked, a question that had been bothering him for a long time, something he could never quite understand. Why not join forces with an enemy and act together? Humph. Enel crunched and chewed the apple, biting it into pieces and swallowing it whole. Then, arrogantly, he said, enemies, enemies? Humph, a bunch of worthless mortals. They don't have the qualifications to join forces with me. They don't even have the qualifications to be my enemies. As arrogant as Enel was, he disdained joining forces with others to confront Whitebeard. According to Enel, even the people sent by the governments of those other worlds weren't qualified to be Whitebeard's enemies. Therefore, Enel took matters into his own hands. electrocuting the world government's envoys to death just like the electronic fish. Captain, we are under enemy attack. We just received news that you apparently killed an envoy earlier. That so-called world government force is the most powerful figure in this world, the force that rules the entire world. The tiny robot, wearing a small helmet, spat with a grumpy expression on its face. This world will be completely conquered by me, and I must also uproot that so-called world government? Enel said with a disdainful expression. He felt that the world government's actions were like theft, a terrible thing, and therefore Enel utterly despised it. Captain, we've already offended two of the world's most powerful forces. The small, extremely annoyed machine spat out the information. I just found out that the enemy you fought, the man called Whitebeard, is the strongest man in this world. Ha ha. Enel let out a cold laugh, unnoticed by the small robots, but at that moment, Enel's lips curled into a fierce grin. Enel's mouth twitched violently, and he let out a bitter laugh. This enemy, Whitebeard, had truly given him too many emotional shocks. Similarly, in the remaining parts of the Sabaudi archipelago, people were shaken by this. Whitebeard displayed abilities that surpassed many people's understanding, almost godlike, leaving countless pirates in awe. The image of a powerful pirate being instantly decapitated by Whitebeard shook the entire world, especially the void-shattering domain, which sent shivers down people's spines. Come belt on the battlefield. One by one, the heads of the dead prisoners exploded, their bodies bursting apart. Countless streams of blood gushing out like fountains, a horrifying and terrifying sight. Standing at the 75-3 peak, the central stronghold of the kingdom of Ma, Vinsmoke Judge. Upon witnessing this scene, his eyes twitched, his heart surging like a raging sea, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Damn it! Why is Whitebeard so strong? Whitebeard was powerful. It had completely surpassed the limits of his understanding. Chochu is retired. It's slow to say, but it happens very quickly. While everyone was marveling, one of those fearless, life-or-death weapon-wielding figures simultaneously raised both hands and opened their mouths. Each of the weapon-wielding humanoid figures instantly met Whitebeard's gaze, firing 3 terrifyingly bright laser beams. Each of the two-handed, weapon-wielding humanoid figures, Ba Trung, had a laser device installed in its mouth. It can penetrate dozens of meters of thick steel with a laser. Easily penetrates any body at this very moment. There are approximately 60 lasers. They were all aiming straight at Whitebeard. Shoot quickly. The blindingly bright lasers, converging simultaneously at this moment, unleashed a terrifying destructive force, like the lasers of the sun, all striking towards Whitebeard. At this moment, countless people were stunned into disbelief. This kind of laser, this dense, intricate array of laser beams, even a diamond-hard body couldn't withstand it. It's slow to say, but it happens very quickly. A dense, dazzling array of laser beams, incredibly bright, successively swept through and rapidly struck Whitebeard's void-shattering domain. At this moment, it's like an incredibly bright, raging sun. The terrifying laser blasts were so powerful they were a massive shockwave. They could destroy Whitebeard's void-shattering domain. Own like a violent surge of solar ions. The terrifying tremors shook the entire sky, causing cracks to appear everywhere. The heavens seemed to split apart, revealing a dense network of fissures resembling a spiderweb. Don't even think about using this point of power to destroy my shattered void domain. Nearly 60 lasers, all fired simultaneously, unleashed terrifying shockwaves, yet within Whitebeard's domain. He remained completely unharmed. Those who witnessed the battle were all astonished and speechless. Is this Whitebeard's defense? It's incredibly powerful. Even lasers can't penetrate Whitebeard's domain. It's just too strong. Countless people were amazed. Maybe, just then, Chochu is retired. 19 humanoid weapon-like figures once again simultaneously fired laser beams. Nearly 60 laser beams, blindingly bright, resembled a dense, tangled spiderweb of light, sending shivers down one's spine. It was terrifying. This laser strike, even surpassing previous ones. When the concentrated laser impacted Whitebeard's domain, generated a massive explosion, far exceeding the previous one. The terrifying tremors shattered even the void itself. The entire ocean was shaken by this. Countless waves of seawater reversed direction and surged violently, creating a terrifying and overwhelming commotion. In that instant, it was as if the entire surface of the sea had been turned upside down. The ocean currents are swirling, the sky is not. Torn, everyone was stunned. Had the fighting really reached such a terrifying level? The laser's concentrated power is inevitably a bit exaggerated. Can Whitebeard withstand this? Lasers possess incredibly powerful abilities. Like a solar nuclear explosion, countless people began to worry. Could Whitebeard really withstand this level of laser? This level of laser destructive power is something humanity cannot withstand. Boom, 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 terrifying fluctuations, dazzling light, and an overwhelming illusory spectacle, making it impossible to look directly at them. Take it. The dazzling laser light dissipates and opens up. The world was once again left speechless with astonishment. Whitebeard is as safe and sound as ever. A second laser bombardment blocked. Unimaginable. Many people shouted the same thing, especially for the pirates in the calm belt. The impact was even more profound. They felt as if they themselves had been transported to a strange realm. The terrifying fluctuations around them made them feel the shockwaves repeatedly. The destructive force tearing everything apart, tearing even the surface of the sea. The strongest man in the whole world. Whitebeard. Many young women gazed at Whitebeard's live broadcast, their beautiful eyes filled with admiration as they spoke. Even Vinsmoke Judge couldn't help but feel a little intimidated. Damn it. Let me go again. Let me bombard him again. I don't believe it. He's just Whitebeard. Chochu is retired. The weapon-wielding figure is attacking again, for the third time. This time, the lasers, previously blindingly bright and radiating an unprecedentedly terrifying aura, those so clearly blinding that people dared not look directly at them, once again rapidly shot towards Whitebeard. Boom, 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 the terrifying lasers, one after another, unleashed a barrage of attacks, finally firing simultaneously at Whitebeard standing nearby. Everyone's eyes trembled once again, for the third time. Can Whitebeard withstand this? A terrifying wave of destructive power erupted in an instant, as if vibrating through the air, shaking the heavens and earth with a resounding hum. Below, on the surface of the sea, the seawater was being violently shaken and flowing backward. This time the scale of the attack was incredibly powerful, far superior to the previous two. And even more so, countless eyes were fixed on Whitebeard. It was as if the entire world's gaze was focused on him. After a moment, TSK. Throughout the entire calm belt, the sound of inhaling the cold air echoed across the sea. Following this, the whole world was in an uproar. The laser barrage came for the third time, and Whitebeard, as usual, was completely unharmed. The onlookers were stunned, their eyes wide with disbelief, their gazes fixed on Whitebeard. Each pair of eyes was filled with astonishment and shock. Marco waited for a group of 19 squad leaders, each of them equally astonished, their eyes wide with disbelief. Their father had once again proven his immense power and status in their hearts. That's powerful. Similarly, during the battle, King really couldn't help but look up in astonishment at Whitebeard. After the initial shock, he suddenly felt a profound sense of loss. Both were figures of the same era, wielding immense power across the vast ocean. Now, looking at Whitebeard, he remains as formidable as ever, even surpassing his peak, achieving the highest possible status. Looking back at myself, I've been procrastinating. Thinking back to that era, Whitebeard still stood at the very top. In this era, Whitebeard has returned to his peak. Taking things a step further, With ruthless and decisive tactics, he once again rewrote this era that belonged to Whitebeard. Whitebeard! Rayleigh was inwardly shaken. He truly couldn't have imagined that Whitebeard could achieve such terrifying feats. This has surpassed the pinnacle of human achievement, Rayleigh. This legendary pirate from a bygone era possessed a level of inner terror that was no less than anyone else's. Damn it! Vinsmoke Judge's eyes widened, gradually burning with rage. What on earth is going on? In this world, there's simply no way a human can rival a machine. Machines are limitless, but humanity will eventually run out of steam. Whitebeard can't possibly be invincible forever. Vinsmoke Judge firmly believes that the Reformer is the most powerful being in this world. Because the Reformer can create an unlimited number of things with just a power boost, you can fight indefinitely. It won't be tiring. It won't dry up. Looking back at humanity, even those at the pinnacle of existence will one day grow old, weak, and die. They will one day wither away, and there will come a time when their lamp runs out of oil. Whitebeard is maintaining this level of void-shattering domain, which definitely requires a large amount of energy expenditure. If this continues, the humanoid laser weapon will sooner or later be able to wear Whitebeard down and kill him. Vinsmoke Judge said firmly. As he mentioned, no one can fight forever. Everyone needs to expend energy. Everyone will fall. Let's bomb Whitebeard. Vinsmoke Judge went berserk and screamed. His original kingly composure and dignity had long since vanished. Completely shattered by Whitebeard's various tactics, Chochu is retired. The weaponized humanoid once again launched a frenzied laser attack on Whitebeard, fourth time, armed with lasers. The entire barrage was directed at Whitebeard. A terrifying tremor followed by a sudden explosion. The world was shocked. This isn't finished yet. For the fifth time, following closely. For the sixth time, seventh time, eighth time. Each laser beam, relentlessly and furiously, was aimed directly at Whitebeard. Without hesitation, the lasers rained down on Whitebeard without stopping. A blinding laser beam, relentless and frenzied, rained down on Whitebeard. 10th time, 20 times, for the 50th time. 80 times, 99th time. 100th time, countless lasers, emanating from each of the humanoid weapon-like beings, were unleashed in a frenzied barrage, completely engulfing Whitebeard's void-shattering domain. Rumble, 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 the terrifying tremors shook the entire world, making it seem as if the heavens and earth would shatter and collapse at any moment. The sky is unshaken. The seawater is constantly being shaken, swirling, flowing backward, boiling, evaporating, and dissipating. An incredibly terrifying laser, estimated to last 100 times longer. The entire sky and earth were filled with incredibly dazzling lasers, and the deafening explosions, like thunderclaps, resounded incessantly, seemingly without end. That's terrible. It's over. Whitebeard is doomed this time. I'm afraid there's a chance of losing this life. The blinding laser beam made it impossible for anyone to see Whitebeard's figure. He had long since been completely enveloped in the laser-covered sky. No one saw what Whitebeard's situation was really like. Everyone's scalp went numb. Just feel this kind of insane laser barrage. Raining down, even a god couldn't stop it. 100 laser bombardments completely depleted the laser-powered weapon-shaped structure, leaving nothing behind. That terrifying, blinding explosion of light. What exactly is Whitebeard like right now? People are extremely interested. At this moment, all the squad leaders simultaneously shouted, "Father." Worried, extremely worried. Even Marco, the usually calmest and most composed captain of the squad, was panicked. "Father, this absolutely must not happen." Marco let out a long scream. He recklessly and frantically charged towards Whitebeard, the center of the explosion. I don't want to lose my father again. I don't want to see him leave again. I don't want to see the Whitebeard pirate's death end again, my foolish son. Father, how could he possibly die? Suddenly, Whitebeard's voice, as calm and composed as ever, echoed across the land, shaking the entire world. Following this, the dazzling white light dissipated, and a crescent-shaped figure of Whitebeard appeared, leading the way and entering the eyes of all who beheld him. Whitebeard, with his magnificent and imposing physique, was displayed before everyone's eyes. Death? If that's the case, then I won't crawl out of my grave. Who do you think I am? You think you can just kill me whenever you want. Don't forget, I'm Whitebeard. The moment he finished speaking, the whole world was shaken. Everything is peaceful and quiet once again. Everything is peaceful and uneventful. The humanoid weapon-wielding creature unleashed all its energy, pouring all its laser power into Whitebeard, and the result was, amidst that terrifying, boundless explosion, like a solar nuclear blast, Whitebeard was completely unharmed. At this moment, the whole world is in an uproar. Countless people were shocked by this, never imagining that the final outcome would be like this. No one expected that Whitebeard would be completely unharmed. Having just frantically charged towards Whitebeard Marco, waiting for the captain's turn, each of them now showed a look of joy, their expressions now filled with unparalleled terror. George Diamond exclaimed joyfully, "Father, you're perfectly all right." Ho-Kim Vista smiled and said, "Father, that's great." Marco's face lit up with joy. "Dad, you're always the strongest." The Whitebeard pirates, their faces beaming with joy, had been filled with apprehension at the thought of their father, Whitebeard, comforting them. But instead they were overjoyed. "My father is safe and sound." Absolutely unbelievable. The calm belt pirates were once terrified. Even some of them, with their powerful strength and brutal personalities, were stunned into silence at this moment. They all stood there dumbfounded. Each of them couldn't help but gasp in shock. That level of laser blast is unbelievable. How could anyone survive? Some people were shocked and filled with unparalleled admiration. Whitebeard, he has transcended the mortal realm. He is a god. At this moment, Whitebeard felt like he wasn't human. He was a god capable of blocking all attacks from other gods. Seeing this, everyone was stunned and speechless, and the whole world was in an uproar. Whitebeard displayed terrifying abilities, completely surpassing everyone's understanding. Whitebeard not only possessed unparalleled offensive power, but his defense was equally unbeatable. Vinsmoke Judge was now in a fit of rage. In his original view, Whitebeard was absolutely doomed this time. Becoming the target of approximately a dozen humanoid weapons, passively being attacked, this was a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity. And it also put Whitebeard in an extremely perilous situation. Countless lasers rained down in a bombardment on Whitebeard. How terrifying was that attack? According to Vinsmoke Judge's idea, Whitebeard would absolutely either die or lose a layer of skin. Maybe the result was that Vinsmoke was seated. Judge wasn't well either, but Whitebeard was perfectly fine. Not a single bit of skin or fur was harmed. No, no, no. I don't believe this is real. Vinsmoke Judge went berserk. The longer the battle dragged on, the more restless and anxious he became, erupting with explosive rage. He had long since lost the temperament of the North Sea's overlord. His form was one of explosive rage. Everyone, surround and kill Whitebeard. Vinsmoke Judge is like a madman, delivering ultimate commands. Right now, armed with Germa, the kingdom's army and soldiers charged simultaneously towards Whitebeard, counting in the thousands. These creation soldiers, fearless of death, living a life of desperation, unconditionally obeying Vinsmoke Judge's orders. Boom, 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 each Germa kingdom soldier, forming a group like a tidal wave, simultaneously charged towards Whitebeard. Its prestige is surging. The entire kingdom of Germa was filled with the frantic sound of footsteps, an uncanny and terrifying phenomenon. Do you really think that these lowlifes can defeat me? Whitebeard unleashed his void-shattering domain, setting foot on the Germa kingdom. With a single kick from Whitebeard, the entire Germa kingdom suddenly shook violently. This kingdom, constructed from countless massive pirate ships, trembled simultaneously, numerous buildings collapsed, and countless ruins were scattered in all directions. Bang! The sea surface churned up terrifying waves, some over 10 meters high, sweeping downwards, erupting with a deafening roar. The seawater instantly surged, uninspiring and terrifying. Whitebeard was radiating an overwhelming aura, his entire being resembling a towering figure, his power overwhelming. The entire Germa kingdom trembled and shook, as if struck by a supersized earthquake. This was a powerful shockwave that knocked down all the soldiers who charged forward first, even causing some to bleed from their orifices and their bodies to crack. All of this was accomplished with just one kick from Whitebeard. She's full of energy, just like a Kiko. Kill, kill, kill. These soldiers were reckless, charging towards Whitebeard. They had no fear whatsoever. They were nothing more than brutal killing machines on the battlefield. Kula la la la. Facing tens of thousands of suicidal creation soldiers charging forward, Whitebeard showed no fear whatsoever. A broad smile spread across his face as he let out a hearty laugh. His long, 10-meter-long sword, held in his hand, suddenly parried, then abruptly slashed out. Stab the slug, the terrifying crimson divine flame, an unparalleled slashing attack, instantly surged outwards like a long column. The slashing attack was unleashed in an instant, instantly extending over 1,000 meters in length, sweeping across an army with lightning speed, leaving no time to react, and instantly sending countless transformation warrior soldiers flying. In the blink of an eye, swirling dust rose up, and one by one, the creation soldiers, the battlefield killing machines, the cold, ruthless weapons of war were all slashed away with a single swing of his sword. Whitebeard sent thousands of reformed soldiers flying. The raging fire destroyed everything. In the blink of an eye, these thousands of soldiers were all burned to ashes, utterly dead beyond resurrection. The entire kingdom of Germa was shaken, its momentum surging, utterly terrifying, perhaps, as before. This is no way to deter or stop those reformers who absolutely obey orders. The remaining soldiers, as before, recklessly charged towards Whitebeard. Kill, kill, kill! At the same time, 19 humanoid weapon-like beings attack simultaneously. This time, they exhausted their laser energy, abandoning long-range attacks and switching to close-range assaults against Whitebeard. That's so weak. Whitebeard wielded a sword over 10 feet long, unleashing an incredibly powerful horizontal slash. A terrifying slash, a raging inferno, a deadly blow. Capable of annihilating the 8 deserts, it's a truly tumultuous crisis. Those soldiers who charged towards the 177th were almost all, without exception, cut down and burned to ashes. 19 figures, radiating immense power and immense strength, broke through Whitebeard's slashing attack and charged forward desperately. I've heard you used Sea Prism Stone as a medium to create these, so today let me test whether Sea Prism Stone can actually be shattered. Whitebeard raised his hand, throwing his sword outwards with terrifying force, like a blazing dragon, sweeping through everything like slicing leaks, like an autumn wind carrying away fallen leaves. The slashing scroll technique annihilated countless transformed warriors who were relentlessly approaching from afar like a tidal wave. Unstoppable, these things, used by the soldiers to reform the army, are fundamentally no match for the overwhelming power of the Blade of Domination. They were all hacked to pieces and burned to ashes. A terrifying explosion resounded, and swirling red divine flames, like a divine dragon's blade, shot directly towards Vinsmoke. Judge, wherever the blade passed, all the people who had undergone the transformation were instantly reduced to ashes. The blade passed through via the place. Everything was pierced through, burned to ashes, and surged up. The flames engulfed countless ruins, carrying with them a towering cloud of dust, burning everything to ashes. The inferno reaching tens of thousands of meters high. Seeing the terrifying sword strike piercing through countless soldiers, Vinsmoke judged Ten-Step, his face contorted with rage. Kill them all. Kill Whitebeard. Kill Whitebeard. Boom, boom, boom. On this side, Whitebeard, alone, faced 19 humanoid weapons wielding slashing attacks, resulting in a terrifying battle. Armament hockey, like a deep black abyss, swirled around Whitebeard's entire body. A dark, eerie light flowed across his imposing frame, and an unparalleled, overwhelming aura emanated from him. Pink, Whitebeard unleashed a punch. The air emitted a sound of terror. No vibrational force was used against the sea stone. The demon's abilities were truly ineffective. Simply by utilizing the body of a demon god plus the enhanced power of armament hockey. It also shattered the air. Incredibly terrifying crack, crack. A living humanoid weapon struck by Whitebeard's left fist. A deafeningly sharp, piercing sound rang out, and the body of this humanoid weapon-like creature was instantly riddled with numerous cracks, like fissures. Boom! A moment later, the living humanoid weapon struck by Whitebeard's left fist exploded violently, sending flames flying everywhere and countless fragments scattering in all directions. Crackling sounds. Boom! Whitebeard, with his left hand, similarly shattered a living humanoid weapon. Flames flew everywhere, and countless fragments were flung in all directions. Dong, dong, dong. The remaining 17 humanoid weapon-wielding creatures simultaneously struck down upon Whitebeard's body. Each sound was like a delayed clap of thunder, erupting from Whitebeard's body. Maybe that's all. Each of the living humanoid weapon-like creatures simultaneously widened their eyes. Even without human life, they would still be suppressed. 17 humanoid weapon-like creatures, unleashing incredibly destructive attacks, all landed on Whitebeard's body. Yet they failed to break through Whitebeard's defenses. Everything is peaceful and quiet. His profound and unfathomable armament hockey, combined with his terrifyingly powerful body, allowed him to withstand the attacks of these humanoid weapons. Right now, far above on the red line, the sacred land of Mariajoa, within the castle of the 5 elders, simultaneously trembled. One of the 5 elder stars widened his eyes in shock and exclaimed, "Impossible!" For people like them, steeped in supreme power and standing at the pinnacle of the world, surprise was rare, but this time, Whitebeard had truly shaken them. What exactly is going on here? Another of the 5 elder stars, equally terrified, said, "The 5 elder stars are more than ordinary people who want to see the truth, because they knew best just how terrifying the threat posed by living humanoid weapons to demons truly was. Those miscellaneous items, the humanoid weapons, they could all be made from sea prism stone." The 5 elders, embracing the great demon, similarly revealed a surprised expression, except for the back, which is equipped with various weapons. The rest is entirely constructed from sea prism stone. Originally, Shiki the Lion King made a slight mistake. These jobs involve the physical form of a warrior, not the inner armor of a sea prism stone. It is made entirely of sea prism stone. Under normal circumstances, any demon with genuine abilities, upon contact with the sea stone, would immediately become paralyzed, weak, and powerless. Thus, all 17 humanoid weapon-like creatures launched their attacks upon Whitebeard. Yet Whitebeard remained completely unharmed. What exactly happened? Even the 5 elder stars couldn't help but feel a little scared. The 5 elder stars couldn't help but be astonished. A demon with truly fake abilities, yet able to remain completely unaffected by the sea prism stone attack. What secrets does Whitebeard really hide? One of the 5 elder stars was in a somewhat unstable state of mind, his inner turmoil like a raging sea. He had lived for so many years, yet nothing had ever made him so unsettled. Resurrection, even more serious than reclaiming the tremor fruit. Whitebeard. He probably has some earth-shattering secret. The great demon, holding the 5 elder stars, frowned and said. The 5 elder stars simultaneously exchanged glances. They both understood each other's intentions. We want to extract those mysterious secrets from Whitebeard, in any case, regardless of whether it's resurrection or the effect of the sea prism stone. It still retains its powerful abilities. This could also overthrow the entire secret world. However, it's as if they're being forged into living humanoid weapons by sea prism stones during battle. Clearly, the 18 beards aren't using any shockwave force. The goat-bearded 5 elders are extremely careful, observing meticulously and grasping every detail. That's correct. Whitebeard's tremor fruit ability wasn't obtained from eating the tremor fruit, but rather through a system reclaimed from Blackbeard. His body wasn't afflicted by the sea stone or the great sea curse, however. The tremor fruit's power was limited. However, even those who possess the true power of a demon must have their abilities restrained by the sea stone, however. This one point seems to have gone unnoticed by many, because Whitebeard's godlike physique combined with armament hockey was enough to shake the entire world. Let's take a look at how this battle is going. Fear is one thing, but the 5 elders, being figures who wield the utmost power in the world and stand at the very pinnacle of global influence, quickly made their next judgment and devised a plan. Whitebeard's display of strength, unaffected by the sea prism stone's interference, not only shocked the 5 elders. The more Vegapunk stood towering over the red line, the more it shook the sacred land of Muriedwa within its walls. This man, hailed by the world as a brilliant scientist and genius 500 years ahead of the rest of the world, repeatedly assisted the world government and the 5 elders in dealing with Whitebeard, only to be repeatedly terrified by Whitebeard's ferocity. Especially now, he had just invented a living humanoid weapon that could defeat any devil fruit user. Yet it was still shattered by Whitebeard. Whitebeard! What kind of secret does he really hide? Vegapunk's heart was shaken, and at the same time, his curiosity grew. As the greatest scientist, he was completely unable to understand the secrets surrounding Whitebeard. This made Vegapunk feel as restless as a cat, extremely uncomfortable. Fortunately, there are still a few of the strongest living beings with humanoid weapons. This group consists of humanoid weapons, possessing the unfathomable and ultimate 6 styles of the Navy, and several of them have been implanted with devil fruit genes by Vegapunk, including the line fruit, the human fruit in the form of a great Buddha, and the ancient elephant-type fruit. These tasks involve the physical training of soldiers, whose combat capabilities have not yet been fully demonstrated, and the final outcome remains unknown. Vegapunk is one more. Suddenly, he, however, showed a look of excitement, perhaps. Given Whitebeard's personality, he'll soon be attacking the Holy Land of Muriedwa. If Whitebeard really does attack the Holy Land of Muriedwa, this would be a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity for Vegapunk. If that's the case, I can explain all the secrets Whitebeard has. Vegapunk revealed a side of himself that was completely different from the world's perception. At this moment, he was like Caesar in the beginning, a mad scientist, the new world. Somewhere on that island, the entire Red Hair Pirates crew was watching the Whitebeard Pirates fight. Just like they were, the Whitebeard Pirates displayed immense power, especially Whitebeard himself, who exhibited extraordinary abilities, earning the admiration of the entire Red Hair Pirates. Even red-haired Shanks was taken aback. The world government's creation of humanoid weapons, similarly, astonished the Red Hair Pirates. This level of humanoid weapon power, even when considering the entire Grand Line or the entire New World, would be enough to wipe out countless powerful beings. Moreover, it is still possible to infinitely revive humanoid weapon like living things. This weapon, the 220, is definitely a devastating weapon on the battlefield. However, in the end, it was Whitebeard's unparalleled and domineering strength that truly impressed everyone. Captain, Shouldn't we also take action? As usual, he was clutching a large Lucky Root chicken leg, but this time, unusually, he was empty-handed. His expression was also different from his usual playful demeanor. His face was serious, as if something big was about to happen. Do we have to fight? Yasip took a deep breath. With only one arm remaining, red-haired Shanks maintained his usual gentle demeanor, an aura untouchable to ordinary people. Just like before, we'll fight. Everyone, don't worry too much. Lucky Roo, along with Yasip and the others, were all taken aback. Is this just another ordinary fight? They're completely different. Let's go. They're waiting for us. Calm Belt. The fierce and epic battle had completely entered a brutal and terrifying battlefield. The shouts of kill shook the heavens, the sounds of intense fighting, the clashing of swords, the bombardment of artillery, all these sounds were deafening. Incredibly intense, blood mist swirled. The air was filled with malevolent energy. Throughout the entire kingdom of Germa, a world-shattering, horrific battle erupted. Whitebeard, with two powerful punches, shattered to weaponized humanoid creatures, resisting the close-range attacks of 17 weaponized humanoid creatures. Following the god demon's body, an infinitely terrifying and domineering aura erupted, vast and powerful, shaking the heavens and earth. With a single tremor, Whitebeard sent all 17 weaponized humanoid creatures flying. Follow me. 2 more punches flew out. These 2 fists possess the power of shattering void. And when they strike, it's as if they've created 2 black holes, pitch black and terrifying, sending shivers down one's spine. This kind of destructive power is unparalleled, surpassing even the peak power of the world. Daddy, without exception, the 2 were unable to dodge the humanoid weapon. And once again, Whitebeard was blown into countless fragments. Each piece of debris was swept away by the powerful gust of wind. Propelled towards the distance, Chao Chu is retired. The remaining 15 humanoid weapon-like creatures simultaneously unleashed the devastating power of the Marine 6 styles, Rankyaku, slashing towards Whitebeard. Rankyaku unleashed a barrage of attacks, each carrying a distinct hockey-colored air energy signature, simultaneously slashing towards Whitebeard. Kia's terrifying, earth-shattering sound filled the air, and everywhere one looked, it was the powerful, destructive force of Rankyaku that was manifesting itself. Approximately 15 Rankyaku slashes, each over 10 meters long, erupted with dazzling white light, making it impossible to look at them directly. Joyful, Whitebeard unleashed a powerful, fearless attack, his fists like millstones, each punch shattering the air, shaking the heavens, and obliterating all the roaring slashes. The towering, imposing figure of Whitebeard, as he swung his fist, swept across the group of humanoid creatures wielding weapons with unbelievable speed. Such a colossal physique, yet possessing such lightning-fast speed, was truly unimaginable. Crack, the 2 humanoid weapon-wielding creatures, seeing Whitebeard sweep towards them, used Gapu to quickly turn around, dodging Whitebeard's first punch. Maybe they underestimated Whitebeard too much. With his profound and unfathomable observation hockey, he had already observed the 2 humanoid living beings and their weapons reversing their trajectories. Even though they weren't human and lacked inner thoughts, Whitebeard's observation hockey, honed to an extremely high level, still detected their movements. Whitebeard's body blocked the attack. A mighty dragon flicked its tail, and in an instant, a kick swept outwards. Crack! Halfway through their escape attempt, the 2 men, fueled by the living humanoid weapon, were stopped. All that could be heard was the sound of shattering metal. A deafening explosion followed, and then 2 more thunderous blasts. These 2 humanoid weapon-like creatures, fleeing and dodging in midair, were instantly shattered by Whitebeard's sweeping kick. A terrifying explosion, accompanied by countless flying debris, rang out. This scene sent shivers down people's spines, and in the eyes of the world, it terrified the pirates, causing them to suddenly turn pale. No one expected that Whitebeard, with his magnificent and imposing physique and his incredibly powerful and terrifying physical strength, would possess such bone-chilling agility. That sudden, surprise attack speed drove countless pirates to despair. Shock followed. Is this really Whitebeard's true physical strength? As expected, at this moment, countless people were filled with admiration. Indeed, initially, Whitebeard, relying solely on his physical strength, had managed to forcefully kill Kadu, the so-called immortal king of beasts. Now it's clear to everyone that Whitebeard's physical strength is terrifying, reaching a point that drives people to despair. The powerful humanoid weapon, capable of rivaling Shiki the Golden Lion, was shattered by Whitebeard in an extremely short period of time. Minus one of its members destroyed, the remaining 13 humanoid weapon-wielding beings hurriedly turned back. They wanted to discuss things further. You want to run away, huh? Then, go ahead and thoroughly enjoy the thrill of running away in fear. Whitebeard suddenly swung both hands in midair. Crackling sounds, crack, crack. A terrifying shattering sound, like the sudden cracking of a silver vase breaking through ice, instantly erupted. All we saw was Whitebeard grabbing at the air with both hands, and it instantly shattered into tiny fragments. Let me reverse it. Whitebeard let out a roar, his hands gripping the space, and suddenly, with a swift movement, boom, 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 a terrifying sound echoed in an instant, and suddenly, enormous, horrific cracks appeared in the Germa kingdom. The kingdom split into massive fragments, and amidst the deafening roar, the fragments twisted and turned, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Beneath the surface of the sea, the waves roared, crashing against the kingdom of Germa with a terrifying, deafening roar, like a tsunami, causing people to tremble in astonishment. Bang! The raging waves swept the crumbling structures of the Germa kingdom back into the sea, creating a deafening roar. Quick! Stop Whitebeard! At this moment, Vinsmoke Judge was in a state of panic and despair. He's going to destroy the entire kingdom. According to Vinsmoke Judge's voice, the entire kingdom of Germa was plunged into crisis. Watching the battle from afar, many pirates were now completely terrified, almost wetting their pants. Where would they dare to linger? They frantically started running to the calm belt, fearing that Whitebeard's shockwave force would bury them all and annihilate them in the sea. Whitebeard's power was truly shocking, terrifying even to Wendy's ears. You want to shatter the entire Germa kingdom? Oh my god! Countless people of the Germa kingdom have fallen into utter madness. Everyone joined forces to kill Whitebeard, attempting to stop his frenzied movements. Thousands of Germa kingdom soldiers, transformed into human soldiers, swarmed like a tidal wave, launching a surprise attack on Whitebeard. A vast army, 1,000,000 soldiers, attacked simultaneously in a flash. Yet Whitebeard remained calm and composed, his expression unchanged. That overwhelming force possessed the regal bearing of a true king, a figure of unparalleled stature in this world. Boom, boom, boom. Whitebeard's two hands shattered space, causing a terrifying earthquake that plunged the entire Germa kingdom into crisis. At this moment, the surface of the sea was even more torn apart, fragmented into pieces. Under the terrifying shockwave, the seawater reversed direction. The surface of the sea poured down, some rising up, others flowing in one direction. Earthquake! Tsunami! The terrifying shockwave was fully unleashed, causing the entire world to erupt in excitement and tremors. Those Germa Kingdom soldiers who launched a surprise, suicidal assault, who knows how many perished in this horrific tremor. But they still charged forward without hesitation. You deserve to die. Whitebeard let out a roar that sounded like a clap of thunder, incredibly deafening. Own! Whitebeard's voice hadn't even completely faded from his lips. A terrifying surge of Conqueror's hockey suddenly erupted from Whitebeard. This is a terrifying, invisible force, and now it has manifested itself. Kyo was like a suicidal tide charging forward with the Germa Kingdom soldiers. In an instant, they encountered Whitebeard's Conqueror's hockey, and that suicidal charge was instantly halted. Following that, countless soldiers all trembled, and they all reversed direction like ripples. Follow me! He possesses soldiers whose 7 orifices bleed. He fell to the ground and died. He was killed by that terrifying Whitebeard's infinite Conqueror's Haki. This could potentially create Conqueror's Haki. Unfathomable. In the blink of an eye, Whitebeard alone annihilated tens of thousands of Germa Kingdom's soldiers. Conqueror's Haki completely annihilated the internal organs of these soldiers, causing them to wither and die. All of this happened so fast, it was like a lightning strike. Vinsmoke Judge didn't even have time to react. In an instant, he felt as if he'd been electrocuted, frozen in place. This scene left countless people utterly astonished. Whitebeard, alone, faced tens of thousands of soldiers launching a surprise attack, his expression unwavering, like a true king. Whitebeard, alone, wielded the power of a thunderous army, instantly annihilating tens of thousands of powerful Germa Kingdom soldiers. With Whitebeard charging forward to kill the soldiers, they were all instantly annihilated. That's terrible. That's terrifying. Terrible. Both are possible, fathers. At this moment, the world was in turmoil. Countless people trembled. Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki had become incredibly powerful. A different kind of attack. Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki has arrived, capable of delivering a special, targeted attack on a specific enemy. Infinitely powerful armament Haki, unfathomable observation Haki. Enough to instantly annihilate tens of thousands of invincible soldiers. Terrifying Conqueror's Haki, Whitebeard, has elevated all three types of Haki to unprecedentedly high levels. Countless people were left speechless with astonishment. Vinsmoke Judge was utterly stunned. He gazed at the ruins of the Germa Kingdom, at the fallen, blood-soaked, dead Germa soldiers, their bodies piled high with corpses. Vinsmoke Judge was utterly terrified. Why? Why can Conqueror's Haki affect modified humans? Modified soldiers, they all have no fear whatsoever. Vinsmoke Judge went berserk with a long, drawn-out scream. He has no way of being transparent. Why is it that he, who was invincible against modified soldiers and high-tech troops in the New World and the North Sea, was so utterly powerless against Whitebeard? Why is it that this army, which required so much effort and countless years to create, a force that could conquer anything, was so weak and invincible in Whitebeard's hands, and was completely annihilated by Whitebeard with a single blow? Why is it that those modified soldiers, who could clearly withstand Conqueror's Haki without being affected, were all instantly killed by Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki? This is an unbearable reality. It was also a Vinsmoke concession. Judge became utterly terrified by reality. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki. Why could it inflict such a fatal blow on the military technology I spent my entire life building? Why? Vinsmoke Judge went berserk with a long, drawn-out scream. The earthquake was raging. The entire kingdom of Germa was a wasteland. Massive pirate ships shattered and torn apart. The tsunami waves were relentless. The sea was surging. On the ruins, the corpses of ancient Germa Kingdom soldiers piled up like mountains, fallen into the rubble. On the land of Genzi, a roaring sea ensued. The area was densely covered with corpses, enough to shock everyone in the world. Vinsmoke Judge gazed at the fallen soldiers before him, at the army he had painstakingly created, the army he had poured his heart and soul into, and in an instant, dust settled. His heart ached to the extreme. He went mad, and the pain was like a frenzy. He couldn't quite understand why those seemingly insignificant modified soldiers, who could withstand Conqueror's Haki without a hitch, were annihilated by Whitebeard's Haki. Really? He wasn't entirely sure. Any kind of force, once it reaches its extreme limit, cannot be understood according to common sense. When observation Haki reaches its limit, it can predict the future. Even living things like weapons without hearts or inner thoughts can still have their movements and trajectories predicted by observation Haki. When Conqueror's Haki reaches an incredibly terrifying level, even steel will be shattered by that terrifying force. Shattered. Perhaps Sia, a soldier of the kingdom's army, had previously stopped other pirates with Conqueror's Haki, but he was powerless against Whitebeard's incredibly terrifying conqueror's hockey. Whitebeard single-handedly annihilated 10 million soldiers. This feat shocked countless people and shook the entire world. Life is in turmoil. Maybe the fighting is still ongoing. Whitebeard used his shockwave force to trigger earthquakes and tsunamis, and then, with the immense and severe depletion of his conqueror's hockey, wiped out so many soldiers over a large area. This is an extremely terrifying display of power. This is also a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity. Cho-Chu is retired. The remaining 13 humanoid weapon-wielding beings who had dodged Whitebeard's attack just moments before have now returned. Flower la la la. On the ground, that area of ruins suddenly transformed into thousands of densely packed, magnetic white lines surging upwards, piercing the air with a deafening roar and converging on Whitebeard. At Whitebeard's feet, dense, intertwined strands of white, tiny wires appeared, sending shivers down one spine. These tiny seconds appeared afterward, instantly coalescing into a torrent of white waves, recklessly charging towards Whitebeard. The fruit line's power. This living, humanoid weapon finally unleashed its true devil fruit power at this very moment. Countless white waves, countless thin threads, countless multicolored lines, all converging and converging on Whitebeard. Cho-Chu is retired. Then, from beneath Whitebeard's feet, a terrifying wave of white energy surged up, instantly binding Whitebeard. At this moment, everyone was astonished. Whitebeard is tied up. This is a once-in-a-thousand-years training ground for deadly combat. At this moment, countless tiny white, wave-like tendrils charged forward, risking their lives to attack Whitebeard. Mister! On the other side, that human man-fruit great Buddha, in the form of a demonic being, possessed the power of a living humanoid weapon. With a powerful and domineering shockwave, it unleashed a punch, and golden Buddha light bloomed on its body. The living humanoid weapon then transformed into an incredibly tall, diamond-like great Buddha. A punch landed. Instantly, a terrifying shockwave was generated. This is former Marine Headquarters Fleet Admiral Sengoku's signature attack technique. The terrifying shockwave unleashed a devastating force, shattering the air like a black hole, utterly terrifying. Whitebeard was instantly surrounded and trapped by white waves, and the terrifying diamond great Buddha's shockwave-powered fist struck towards Whitebeard. At the same time, another creature transformed into a colossal elephant, its two incredibly sharp tusks gleaming with terrifying ferocity. A stench of blood emanated from this elephant, sending shivers down one spine. Dong dong dong. The enormous elephant, its feet stomping on Gepu, charged like a bulldozer towards Whitebeard. As the mighty elephant charged forward, a terrifying storm erupted, sweeping up countless ruins and creating a long, chaotic dance of murderous energy, carrying unparalleled destructive power as it struck Whitebeard. Similarly, there were also 10 powerful, humanoid weapon-like living beings, simultaneously charging forward to kill. Marine 6 styles: Gapu, Renkyaku, Soru, Shigen, Kami, Tekai. Fruition lineage ability. Human fruition great Buddha form ability. Ancient Zoan type mighty elephant. Countless suicidal attackers charged forward, simultaneously gathering their forces to engulf Whitebeard. It was like a terrifying storm raging one after another. This type of attack, level to point 8, is incredibly terrifying. Any single blow, even if it only reaches the New World, is enough to wipe out those famous pirates. So many of them, densely packed together, charged forward like a madman, unwilling to live any longer, all rushing towards Whitebeard. A terrible uproar. It left people astonished and trembling. That's not all. The enormous, imposing figure of Whitebeard was being swept back and bound by the white waves. Right now, the world is in turmoil. Countless violent storms of attacks simultaneously rained down on Whitebeard, striking him down, causing chaos throughout the land. This type of attack, unleashed by the entire world, caused a surge of countless assaults, enough to destroy everything with its terrifying destructive power. Under the shocked gaze of the entire world, they simultaneously attacked Whitebeard. Kula la la la. Whitebeard laughed heartily, displaying an unyielding and fearless spirit, like a war god who couldn't escape battle. His immense aura suddenly surged, and his god-demon body seemed to be activated to its most terrifying state. Whitebeard's aura continued to rise. Just for a moment. Suddenly, the clouds in the sky split open. The original white clouds that covered the sky suddenly seemed to be torn apart by one or two hands, cracking and splitting apart from Whitebeard's head, the white clouds swirling in reverse. A sudden change. The original roar of the vast ocean suddenly gave way to a terrifying column of seawater that shot upwards. The water roared and rumbled, obliterating everything on the surface of the sea. Those Germa pirate ships, battered and bruised by Whitebeard, were tossed about by this terrifying ocean current. For the time being, the sky split open. The sea surface reversed, the current flowed against the current, the seawater boiled and surged violently, swallowing countless Germa warriors. Whitebeard let out a long laugh, his entire being erupting with an incredibly powerful aura. He suddenly unleashed several punches, each one shattering the space like glass, instantly creating a terrifyingly powerful storm. Those who were charging forward in desperation were instantly pushed back. Whitebeard was fearless and unstoppable. His two fists were unstoppable. With every punch he threw, space cracked. Countless attacks were shattered by Whitebeard alone. Kia, who had once been surging forward like a massive white wave, was shattered by Whitebeard's raised hand, transforming into countless white powder particles that instantly burst forth in white mist, rising and swirling in the sky. Bang! The Diamond Buddha's powerful shockwave punch was countered by Whitebeard's single punch. Just for a moment, the heavens tremble and the earth shakes. The atmosphere is stifling. Each shockwave, like a rapid vibration, surged outwards in all directions, seemingly with a bang sound. Wherever the shockwave passed, everything, whether the ruins of the Germa kingdom or anything else, was shattered and reduced to dust. But the Diamond Great Buddha, a living humanoid weapon, was instantly shattered by a single punch from Whitebeard, its entire arm gone. This person is absolutely no match for Whitebeard. Even if he were given the powerful human karma Great Buddha form, he would still be no match for Whitebeard. At the same time, a gigantic creature, more than 10 meters tall, nearly as tall as the elephant, charged forward, its head aiming directly at Whitebeard. Whitebeard's body was bound, making it impossible for him to dodge. He could only resist. Maybe he just shattered countless tiny white wave-like structures with a single punch. With another hand, a single punch shattered the diamond-shaped, humanoid weapon within the heart of the Great Buddha. At this point, he was completely helpless and couldn't create a clone. Numerous humanoid weapon-like creatures seized this crucial moment, swarming towards Whitebeard in a second wave of terrifying attacks, once again launching a frenzied onslaught. This level of attack is incredibly dense and intricate, with terrifying destructive power. Even the slightest lack of attention could result in serious injury. The situation on the battlefield is unusually serious. Help Dad out! The squad leaders frantically rushed towards Whitebeard's side to request reinforcements. From the moment the humanoid weapon-wielding creature made its move, each squad leader had already charged towards Whitebeard. We absolutely will not let Whitebeard fight alone. We absolutely will not allow the tragic summit conflict to repeat itself. It might seem a little too late. That incredibly ferocious elephant has attacked Whitebeard. Bang! Like colossal iron and steel, they collided violently, emitting an incredibly deafening roar, sparks flying everywhere. The terrifying impact was like two enormous blocks of iron and steel colliding, creating a deafening sound. Crack! A clear, crisp sound, not overly loud, yet it echoed throughout the entire Combelt battlefield, making it audible to everyone. This sound, it's like bones shattered. I wonder if Whitebeard broke any of his ribs. A pirate, standing far away, sighed. Bang! He stood beside a pirate, who raised his hand and slapped him across the face. The pirate said, "How could Whitebeard have his ribs broken by someone?" The unfortunate victim, his face full of resentment, muttered, "Captain, when did you turn into a brainless Whitebeard fan?" Bang! Another slap. If it were Whitebeard who broke your ribs, I'd slap your head until it'd be a pig's head. Coincidentally, this captain was also worried about Whitebeard. However, Whitebeard wasn't fighting alone. Rather, after annihilating thousands of soldiers, he hadn't even had time to recover his depleted energy before he once again single-handedly battled over a dozen humanoid weapon-like creatures. The eyes of the entire world were fixed on Whitebeard, either watching the battle live through the comm belt or through projected images on their mobile phones. At this moment, the eyes of the entire world were focused on Whitebeard. Crack! Once again, a crisp, clear sound of bones shattering rang out. Right now, countless people's hearts are hanging in the balance. Just 2 hours ago, there were sounds of bones shattering. Who could have been responsible? This is a battle that will ignite a global frenzy, a contest that will draw the world's attention to the ultimate showdown. Crack! Crack! Two consecutive, incredibly clear sounds of bones shattering caused everyone in the world to widen their eyes and stare at Whitebeard. Everyone wanted to know who had produced those two crisp, bone-shattering sounds. Was Whitebeard's bone shattered? Anyway, 13 top-tier humanoid living creatures with weapons were pitted against Whitebeard alone. Anyway, the abilities of the line fruit, the great Buddha form of the human fruit, and the mighty elephant fruit 3 world-class top-tier demon fruit abilities, humanoid weapons together. 13 humanoid weapons joined forces to surround and kill Whitebeard. Anyway, Whitebeard's body, that magnificent and imposing figure, was bound by countless enormous white wave-like structures, numbering in the thousands. Based on the following premises, the world couldn't help but feel worried for Whitebeard. Father. With Marco at the head, each of the squadron captains simultaneously charged towards Whitebeard. "Ha ha ha, Whitebeard, you arrogant fool, your bones will break." Vinsmoke Judge gesticulated wildly, extremely excited. He thought that must be Whitebeard's bone fragments. A wide smile spread across his face. It's like a wilting chrysanthemum, a brilliant kind of wild chrysanthemum. Excited. How could I not be excited? Vinsmoke Judge, the dignified king of the Germa Kingdom, the greatest scientist in the North Sea, a former partner of the world's greatest scientist Vegapunk. A superpower controlling the entire Germa Kingdom government, capable of direct dialogue with the world government, was nevertheless ridiculed by Whitebeard as nothing more than a puppet. Vinsmoke Judge, using his ultimate life force, created an army of modified humans for the Germa Kingdom, numbering in the thousands, only to be annihilated by Whitebeard with a single blow. This might not be enough to make Vinsmoke Judge heartbroken, would it? All of this was suffocating, to the point of making Vinsmoke feel like he was going to go mad. Judge was on the verge of losing his mind. He was desperate to kill Whitebeard. Now we can finally hear the sound of Whitebeard's bones shattering. I suddenly feel excited. I suddenly feel like having fun. I suddenly feel like laughing out loud. Maybe 1 second from now. Vinsmoke Judge's smile froze in an instant on his wrinkled face. That face, like a wild daisy, instantly contorted and disfigured, the smile vanishing completely in a flash. In this world, people care about what's below. All they saw was the other end crashing into Whitebeard's massive body, the elephant of might, and being sent flying with a thunderous roar. Two huge, ferocious fangs then shattered. As the elephant was flying backward, Whitebeard instantly pulled out a punch and struck. This punch was incredibly fast, carrying the force of 1,000 thunderbolts, and landed squarely on the elephant's head. Boom! A terrifying explosion, instantly reverberating across the land. Next, Whitebeard's punch landed, and the head of this enormous elephant, a perfectly formed, approximately 1 meter long skull, exploded instantly. One punch to the head. Suddenly, a huge, massive projectile exploded with immense force. Countless fragments exploded and flew everywhere. This living, humanoid weapon was instantly killed, shattered by a single punch from Whitebeard. By this point, the world finally saw clearly that Whitebeard, struck by the gigantic elephant, remained completely unharmed. The places where the elephant had collided with him were not pierced at all, nor did they show the slightest sign of injury. Those two extremely crisp, bone-shattering sounds were the elephant's two tusks breaking. Hi! At this moment, countless people around the world gasped in shock. The sound of inhaling the cold air lasted for a long time. Even with his armament hockey and god demon body, it's not that easy to break through him. Whitebeard remained calm as ever, his powerful fists pushing back each of the humanoid weapon-like creatures. Previously, even with his greatly enhanced armament hockey, the elephant-like creature was completely unable to break through Whitebeard's defenses in the chest. It's like directly breaking off two of your own fangs. The reason Whitebeard exposed his weakness and let this person touch him was so he could get close enough to beat this person to a pulp. That's all. It's all because Whitebeard controls everything. Right now. In the distance, Vinsmoke. Judge was utterly astonished, completely dumbfounded, utterly bewildered. He never imagined that, after being struck by a terrifying elephant, Whitebeard would be completely unharmed, while the elephant that struck Whitebeard was instantly annihilated. What is this? What kind of monster is this? Vinsmoke Judge was completely panicked internally. Monster, Whitebeard is a monster. Vinsmoke Judge is going crazy. This battle cost him everything, and now it has driven him completely into madness. Vinsmoke Judge shrieked, Whitebeard, I want to butcher you. You want to kill me. Whitebeard roared, unleashing a powerful barrage of blows, his fists like millstones, repelling all his enemies with overwhelming force. You're far from qualified. Even if the 5 elders were standing here, they wouldn't be qualified to say those words. Not to mention the others, even Marco, who was waiting with a group of squad leaders, was utterly astonished and dumbfounded. Whitebeard's father is safe and sound. Not only that, judging by my father's posture, his aura seems to be continuously increasing. At this moment, as Whitebeard's world-shattering voice subsided, his aura surged to its limit, like a god or demon. With a single word, thunder roared, terrifying beyond measure. What I hate most is your underhanded tactics and manipulative behavior towards people. That's Sengoku. That's Akainu. That's Blackbeard. Therefore, Sengoku is dead, Akainu is dead, Blackbeard is dead too. You're just a puppet from the North Sea, yet you dare to play tricks behind my back. Let me go to hell to repent. Whitebeard's voice was like a continuous clap of thunder, roaring across the heavens and earth, shaking the ocean, and intimidating the entire world. Vinsmoke Judge lost everything. He single-handedly founded the Germa Kingdom, nurtured the 3 princes, and poured all his efforts into strategizing a great war. Everything, absolutely everything, was destroyed by Whitebeard alone. Everything was no match for Whitebeard. Everything was lost. Vinsmoke Judge went mad. Follow me, kill Whitebeard. White. Vinsmoke Judge, armed with high-tech weaponry, launched himself high into the air, soaring through the sky. Along with the remaining dozen or so humanoid weapon-wielding beings and 1 surviving Germa Kingdom minister, all charging towards Whitebeard. Step back. I alone am enough to kill them all. Whitebeard raised his hand, and his aura suddenly surged once again. He stopped many of the squad leaders who were about to charge forward to fight. Boom! A terrifying, explosive sound, like a blast, rang out. Whitebeard, with his imposing and towering figure, moved at terrifying speed, traversing the void and actively attacking all his enemies. Crack! The first humanoid weapon, suddenly shifted by Whitebeard's body, instantly emitted a crisp, explosive sound. Almost in an instant, this incredibly powerful humanoid weapon was directly shattered by Whitebeard's body. In the blink of an eye. Shattered. Whitebeard's body generated a terrifying airflow, directly causing these ruins to be violently lifted up. Clang! Whitebeard has the power to push through the air horizontally. A living humanoid weapon was instantly shattered. This type of weapon, crafted from sea prism stone into a living humanoid form, poses absolutely no threat to Whitebeard. Whitebeard's reborn tremor power wasn't obtained through eating a devil fruit, but rather stolen from Blackbeard. His body wasn't cursed by the sea prism stone either. Touching the sea prism stone, although it cannot unleash the shockwave force, will not affect the body's strength either. With the immense power of Whitebeard's divine body, such a powerful explosion of energy, even the most impregnable humanoid weapon made of sea prism stone in this world could not withstand Whitebeard's terrifying destructive force and was instantly shattered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Countless pieces of debris were directly swept up. Whitebeard simultaneously wielded his left hand and fired his bow. That's a counter-argument. Directly use another living humanoid weapon to smash it. A burst of sparks exploded in an instant. This living humanoid weapon still had a remaining stream of laser energy intending to instantly attack Whitebeard with the laser. The surprise attack was successful. Little did they know, Whitebeard didn't give them a chance, directly throwing a punch and shattering them. Sparks flew everywhere. In the blink of an eye, the three weaponized humanoid creatures were shattered by Whitebeard. This kind of scene is terrifying. It shakes everyone. Ba ba ba. At the same time, that other life force fruit user, a humanoid weapon, once again launched an attack. This time, he unleashed all his power, and in an instant, an overwhelming white wave of fine threads surged forward, engulfing the heavens and earth, obscuring the sky. Like a terrifying roar of the sea. It gives people goosebumps. Boom, boom, boom. The white waves obscured the sky, each one piercing the air, emitting an incredibly deafening, explosive sound, like sharp swords thrusting towards Whitebeard. Ba ba ba. Another being, the human karma great Buddha, in the form of a living being wielding a weapon, simultaneously launched an attack, unleashing countless golden fist imprints, each accompanied by incredibly terrifying shockwaves. In that instant, it seemed as if the entire world was filled only with countless golden fist imprints carrying terrifying destructive power. Boom, boom, boom. Whitebeard struck in the blink of an eye. Armament hockey. A divine and demonic body. Shockwave vibrations. The pinnacle of martial arts. This kind of power, possessing profound understanding of principles, can shatter the very air, obliterate everything, and violently destroy everything with a mere wave of its hand or foot. He looked like a god or a demon. Wherever Whitebeard's two fists passed, no matter how many attacks you launched, they were all instantly shattered. This time, none of you will escape. Whitebeard unleashed a barrage of punches, his godlike hands, like massive mountains descending from the heavens, instantly pinning down the life-bearing weapon-like creature and the great Buddha-shaped life-bearing weapon from above their heads. Break my head open, you old fool. Boom! Boom! Two dazzling sparks, emitting incredibly intense flames, erupted in an instant. These two were the most powerful living humanoid weapons, but they were directly shattered by Whitebeard. Impossible! Vinsmoke Judge's eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was seeing was real. The mighty elephant, a living humanoid weapon, was torn apart by Whitebeard's two hands. The devil fruit ability, combined with the humanoid weapon and the great Buddha form, grants Whitebeard the power to shatter everything. This is truly horrifying, unbelievable. It's unbelievable that this is real. Why can't the sea stone restrain Whitebeard? On this point, Vinsmoke Judge couldn't quite figure it out from beginning to end. Perhaps, under his watchful eyes, he wasn't given the opportunity to think it through. Whitebeard's figure, traversing the void, struck with lightning speed. Then let's fight to the death. Vinsmoke Judge had no choice but to flee. He had lost everything, and he was determined to risk his life to seek revenge on Whitebeard. Boom! Terrifying lightning bolts emanated from Vinsmoke. Judge, wielding his weapon, emerged with brutal force. Hissing sounds. The pale blue, high-voltage electric current pierced through the air, directly bombarding Whitebeard. Rumble. The electric current, like a sky-blue serpent, danced wildly, incredibly terrifying, and its destructive power inflicted charred scars all over Whitebeard's body. Black smoke billowed out in an instant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A terrifying electrical current surged from Whitebeard's body, spreading across the vast, powerful ocean as the Germa Kingdom's ships were shattered. The terrifying current radiating through the seawater. Hissing sounds. In the blink of an eye, countless warriors from the Germa Kingdom fell into the sea, all struck by electricity and perished. Countless fish, regardless of size, were instantly killed by the electric shock. Even hidden deep within the ocean, among the sea king species, there was one unlucky creature that was suddenly killed by an electric current. That electric current is terrifying. How many volts of current is this? This is incredibly terrifying, isn't it? Is this the high-tech kingdom of Germa? No wonder Vinsmoke Judge, who collaborated with the greatest scientist Vegapunk, is capable of creating such powerful technological equipment. Witnessing this terrifying scene, countless people were filled with admiration. I can't help but admire you. It's impossible not to be impressed. The electric current emanating from Whitebeard's body surged out, spreading into the sea and electrocuting countless sea creatures, including a gigantic sea king. How incredibly frustrating is this electric current? Vinsmoke Judge possesses the most advanced scientific and technologically invented high-voltage equipment capable of instantly unleashing destructive power. Vinsmoke Judge's electric current is very strong. Perhaps Whitebeard is even stronger. At that moment, as black smoke billowed from Whitebeard's body, the world was once again shaken. Apart from a series of charred scars that appeared on Whitebeard's body, there was nothing else. There are no more problems. He said it right away. Even such a terrifyingly high voltage and current couldn't harm Whitebeard. Kula la la la, with such meager abilities, you dare to think you can harm me. You're truly arrogant. Whitebeard let out a long roar, his body launching a surprise attack on Vinsmoke Judge. Judge, standing beside him, his massive, mountain-like form instantly sent Vinsmoke Judge flying. Bang, bang, bang. Vinsmoke Judge was flung out, numerous sparks flying through the air, constantly exploding. This is the technological equipment he's equipped with, which exploded upon impact with Whitebeard. Whitebeard, I won't let you live comfortably. Vinsmoke Judge soared upwards for thousands of meters, his feet clad in the most advanced technological boots, allowing him to fly through the air. His mere actions were comparable to the ultimate Geppo, and what's more, they required no energy expenditure whatsoever. Vinsmoke Judge doesn't back down, he moves forward. Even if it means risking my life, I have to go train right next to Whitebeard. Now, Kia, show us your true skills. Whitebeard feared nothing. His voice, like thunder, shook the entire ocean. The shock made everyone's eardrums ring with a buzzing sound. A terrifying sound, like thunder echoing across the horizon. Crack! Whitebeard's hand emerged, like a dragon's claw emerging from the clouds, possessing supreme power. It was like a bolt from the blue. The air was completely shattered. Kill! Vinsmoke Judge's move caused a worldwide uproar. Instead of dodging Whitebeard's hand, he recklessly unleashed two terrifying laser weapons, and the moment Whitebeard grabbed him, the lasers lunged towards Whitebeard's eyes. That's right. Vinsmoke Judge must trade blows. He must blind Whitebeard. His body, having undergone modifications, was clad in the most advanced technological armor, also made of sea prism stone. Whitebeard, you're dead for sure. Vinsmoke Judge was absolutely confident. He had complete faith in his own body, far surpassing any living weapon. He wasn't joking. Two of the most terrifying lasers in history, piercing the air, shot rapidly towards Whitebeard's eyes. At this moment, the whole world fell silent.